Alright, so Thoughts to Ponder is a variety show, and the views expressed are not necessarily those of your girl Tamara Dawn. I created this show so that I can include the listeners, have y'all be a part of the show, and then I'm going to throw in a little razzle-dazzle for good measure. Episodes are going to air every other Monday, so make sure you still tune in every Thursday so you can hop on my train of thought. Make sure y'all also check out them podcast recommendations in the episode notes, and shout out to Sniper T for this beat. His information can be found there as well. So now that I got all that out the way, let's get it. So let me just say that it feels so good to be recording right now. Like, I haven't recorded since the last Thoughts to Ponder episode, which, if you pay attention to the schedule, you know that this episode was actually supposed to air last week, but we are in the process of moving, and so it just wasn't going to work for last week. And I'm actually recording in a different spot in the house than I normally do, so hopefully it doesn't sound too different. I tried to create some of the same, I don't know, so I apologize for that. Hopefully by the next episode will be a little bit more set up or whatever. And it's crazy because I remember when I first started the Thoughts to Ponder episodes and I joked about the Rona, and I just really can't believe it's still a thing. And I'm not going to get too deep off into it because I know there's the part of us that I'm over it. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of my life being changed by it. At the same time, I am super grateful that I still have employment. My employment is secure because I know there are a lot of people who have it a lot worse than me. Super grateful that no one I know is sick or has been affected by it, especially my kids, because my youngest daughter has asthma. So I'm trying to have a positive attitude, but at the same time, I'm over it. And I know we're tired of hearing about it, but at the same time, it's affecting literally every part of our life or whatever. And I'm noticing, all the little social gatherings that I've ever been invited to, that a lot of times I'm like, man, I don't feel like being around people like that because my whole work day is people. But I will never take that for granted again because I want to be able to go somewhere. I want to be able to just do what I want to do. I miss being able to see my church fam. I miss being able, today's my brother's birthday. Shout out to him. Happy birthday. We probably might have been doing a little family thing or whatever, but we not doing nothing. And I miss my work homies. Most of them are working from home and I'm still going to work because I need a sense of normalcy in my life. So I just stay in my office. Don't worry, I'm being clean. I was already on that anyways, just because that's just who I am as a person. But with all this just extra time on my hands, it's I just feel even more lonely than whatever I was struggling with before. And I've just really found myself wishing that I had a little Rona Bay or whatever. And I don't even know how that would have happened because I probably should be more approachable as a person pre-quarantine. And it's selfish reasons why I even want this now. Text me, call me, video chat me, just not entertain me, not like that, but I'm just saying I don't know. And I said on Twitter and Facebook that I was gonna make a Rona Bay application, and we ain't even gotta talk after the quarantine is over, and if things keep progressing the way they are and this social distancing and all this stuff, yeah, we just got the email from my daughter's school today, actually, that she graduates May 10th, and it's going to be a virtual graduation May 10th, and then a formal graduation July 10th, tentatively, because that could change, and I'm just why is this a thing? But let's get to the topic at hand, because like I said, we're tired of hearing about the Rona. So, Thoughts to Ponder of the week. Who should initiate pursuit in a relationship, and is it outdated to say that the man should be the one to pursue the woman. Now, first of all, thank you to everyone who participated and responded. I definitely appreciate that. A couple of people retweeted and their responses got lost. So that's kind of why I've shied away from Twitter, because the first time I did it, I got a ton of response, but stuff got lost. And it's just, Twitter is, y'all know how it is with getting lost in tweets and retweets and replies and whatnot. So I don't know what they said, but I do remember getting the notification that they retweeted. So shout out to Brandon from Off the Record Podcast, and shout out to Penrose. And I'm pretty sure he has more than one podcast, but I'm only confident that one of them that he's a part of is called We Got the Draws Podcast. So I'm just going to shout out that one. So thank you for that. And the rest of y'all who didn't participate and saw or whatever, like, holla at your girl when I ask for feedback. I want your insight if you have insight in a topic. I want your perspective. I want to have you on the show. I want you to promote your podcast. Like, I feel like that's a great way for you to get free promotion to maybe my listeners might want to see what you're talking about. So, participate. Preferably a voicemail or an email, which I always put one of those up there just because I can track those better, because they just go to one spot and don't get lost. But before we get into what everyone else had to say about the topic, let's take a quick break for a promo.
Off the Record is a show about culture, black culture, trending topics, or timeless debates. Mike, Quan, Brandon, and Alex got you covered. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and more. Subscribe and leave a comment. Oh, and follow us on Twitter at OTR_pod, OTR Mike, OTR Brandon, and OTR Quan.
Alright, now that we back, let me start by saying that as of right now, I personally have very biased feelings about this topic. And mainly because there have been times in the past where, like, I was interested in a dude and I told him, and then, as a matter of fact, there have been multiple times where I've done that, because I usually feel like I should, like, I don't want to say like it's fake if I don't tell you, but kind of, like, if you're because the way that I start feeling someone is not based on, oh, I just met you. It's like, we've been interacting, we've been vibing, whatever, however you want to word that. And so I feel like if I continue to interact with you and I have whatever feelings, like, I should tell you. And so the times that I've done that, none of those times none of those times panned out to be anything other than some bull. Because, okay, so when we had the conversation, they, said they didn't have the same feelings. Cool. I can't force you to feel the same way. I'm not tripping. Thank you for being upfront with me and not leading me on. Like, as I always say, it's okay if somebody doesn't, see you how you want to be seen, or view, feel whatever. It doesn't mean I'm any less than. But ultimately, what ended up happening is that they circled back later. Now, even if they came correct when they circled back, I'm not sure what my response would have been. I don't know, but I'll never know, because they didn't come back correct. They came back on they just wanted what they wanted out of the situation, which, again, is some bull. And I do always try to believe the best about people, which, once upon a time, somebody said that was a flaw of mine or whatever, but in situations like that, it's hard to see the good in someone's intentions when they come back around for selfish gain. Like, and would you have come around if you didn't, like, if I had never told you I have feelings for you, would you have come back around? I mean, would you have come around or whatever? So that's my issue with it. So, like I said, I have very biased feelings about this right now. A lot of it is based on what I've been through. And so as of right now, I struggle with the thought of initiating pursuit. And maybe I just need to get over, the stuff that's happened, but it's also been a pattern. So it's kind of like, here we are. And then I'm going to keep it all the way real, because you know me, y'all ride my train of thought. And this whole episode is low-key a super selfish episode because I'm really just using y'all feedback to get insight and different perspectives into my own situation because I know I'm super biased. And, I'm trying to see how other people view this. It might shift what I do or don't do. And, it's my show though, so whatever. It's selfish and this is just what it is. But I do know that y'all do want to hear what the people had to say. So let's go ahead and get into our first response real quick.
Hey, Timer, how you doing? I'm calling about the question you asked. Is the idea that men should do the pursuing in a relationship outdated? Well, I think that question is multifaceted in a few different ways. First of all, I think the word should is what's outdated here. I don't think either sex should have to do anything. This comes down to basically you need to ask for what you want. In this day and age, our society has been growing for the better. And I think as a whole, we have appreciated and encouraged women to speak up and be seen as equals. With that thought, an equal also means they hold the responsibility of having equal responsibilities that is expected in a society. So let's talk about the pursuit situation. For men, you gotta heed a little caution nowadays. Because pursuit refers to continuously chasing something or someone. Well, there's so much that can go wrong with that. Our culture is full of big egos and the mentality of not good enough. I believe America has lost a lot of its sense of unity, and this seems to leave both sexes with the mentality of not truly thinking there is a purpose for interdependence. The act of having to chase might be intended to be enduring, but could be misunderstood.
Now, what's super interesting about his response is the part where it's almost like he's saying that the female should take some, or me, because like I said, this episode was really for my own benefit, but like I should take some sort of ownership of my feelings or desires or whatever, which I agree with, but like I do agree with that. But it's crazy because as much as I feel like I've grown with being vulnerable, and in a lot of areas I have, it's like when it comes to this particular area, I just keep hitting this brick wall, like when it comes to this type of vulnerability. And I know it's based on things that I've been through, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like I more so just wish these feelings would go away that try to bubble to the surface rather than like try to deal with them. But let's move on to the next response from the homie Vaughn. And he actually sent me an email. Let me find it real quick. All right. So he said, I think the way in which we think about and approach the idea of a man pursuing a woman is outdated. We are all adults. So a man is supposed to walk up to a woman with no indicators of interest and just ask a girl out. This is how bad dudes develop their reputation and good dudes develop a bad reputation. I think if a woman is good at indicating her interest, there should be no problem with a guy pursuing if he's interested. However, I also don't see anything wrong with a woman having the confidence to walk up to a man and introduce herself, and if she feels like asking him to coffee or a meal. Now, if bruh can't take the hint and lead things from there, I think that is where the problem enters in. It just depends on how I'm being asked out. If you request to spend time with me one-on-one in a public setting, it's cool. So, again, it seems like the woman should take some sort of initiative. And he also sent another shorter email that said, back in the early 20s, ladies used to drop their handkerchief to indicate interest and make initial contact. And he asked, what is the modern day equivalent of that? So, ooh, child, I'm about to get me a little handkerchief or whatever and just wave that thing in the air one time for the one time. And then I ain't even got to say nothing. Like, that sounds so much better. But I'm guessing these days the modern equivalent might be something like hearting pics or reacting to posts on social media. I don't know. I also feel like these days it's probably easier than back in the day for females to shoot their shot or whatever. But bringing this back to me and my situation, because that's what this whole episode is really about, I think like some level of flirting would need to occur, and like that's just not my area of expertise at all. I can't say something that I'm not really feeling, and then I'm also not the greatest at throwing hints or even catching hints. Like, excuse me, that ain't the Rona. I just choked on, I'll be choking on air. Don't trip. But I've told y'all before that I'm slow when it comes to this stuff, so I don't even know. Like, I'm not even sure really what that would look like. But before we go too much further down this rabbit hole, let's take another quick break. So if you're thinking about doing a podcast, I highly suggest you use Anchor, and here's why. Now, first things first, it's free, and you can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. I'm talking dollar bills, y'all. Plus, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you to the major platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a bunch of others, so that's one less thing you got to worry about. And they got all the tools you need to record and edit your podcast in one spot. And you can do all that from your phone or your computer. So, in my opinion, it's really the easiest way to make a podcast. Now, if that's what you're looking for and you're ready to jump on it, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hello, it is Shay Bay of On the Line with Bay podcast, and it is definitely outdated to assume that a man is going to pursue you. I think that if you see something that you want, you should go and get it. I think you should leave behind, a man has to pursue me. It's the 21st century. It's 2020. If you want a man, you better go and get him. And a lot of these men are very shy, and they don't really know how to approach you. They don't know if you have a man or not. So a lot of times when women shoot their shot, they usually land it, So ladies, don't be scared to get the man that you want. And fellas, we getting what we want nowadays. That's it.
So what's super interesting about, excuse me, dry throat, not the Rona. But what's super interesting about what she said, it's kind of crazy because the other day I was FaceTiming my little sister, which, side note, thank God for that type of technology during a time when we're like forced to be more distant, because that's been super helpful to like actually see people's faces and all that good stuff. But I was basically telling her that, like, I don't want to say anything and, like, why can't he be a mind reader? Which I know that is dumb, you know what I mean? But also, like, I'm gonna be real, it's a lot easier to fantasize about something that you want a lot of the times. Much easier than all the work that will actually go into trying to maintain a relationship. Like, I've said it before, I've been single for a long time. Like, it was 2007 when I got divorced, and I have pretty much just lived my life, me and my kids. I do what I want based on me and my kids. I don't really have to consider really anybody else's, thoughts, feelings, desires, what they may want or whatever. And so it's kind of like if I come home from work and I'm tired and I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't have to. And then if I do want to talk to people, like, then I can, and I have that right to choose when I want to do whatever. But in a relationship, you can't do that. You can't be that selfish. There's a lot of compromise that's going to have to go into all kinds of stuff, and you're going to have to consider someone else's feelings and their thoughts and their desires or whatever. And so it's a lot easier to just fantasize about it than all the work that would really go into it. But much like her, my sister made a really good point, and I'm going to try to get it right. I should have written it down because I did tell her after she said this that I was going to like quote her on the show. But basically, she said that I can't wait around for something to happen. Kind of like I need to take responsibility for my own feelings and my own happiness and what I want. And she was saying kind of like I can't leave that up to someone else for me to get what I want. Like I have to make it happen for myself. But then she also said that it'd probably be better to say something sooner than later, because the longer that I hold on to the hope of what could be, kind of like the more hold it'll have on me, which I'm surprised it hasn't gone away, because to be honest, usually I've said this multiple times on this show, like my feelings are pretty fleeting and they don't really last like that. But she was saying how it'd probably be better to say something sooner than later, because it's kind of like then I'll be able to just let go, instead of, let's say, I don't say anything for a year or something like that. And then when I say something, he's like, oh, well, no, I only see you as a friend or whatever. Well, that's a year plus that I've been, having these feelings or whatever. So that's kind of like what she was saying. But let's bring it back to the main point. You know what I mean? And this is a shorter episode, but it's shorter because not as many people participated, which is fine. You know what I mean? I'm going to make it work regardless. But for these particular episodes, y'all got to participate. Like, it's going to be longer if y'all holla at your girl. So, tap in. But let's bring it back to the main point. The main question, I mean. Is it outdated to say that the man should be the one who does the pursuing? Well, I don't know, to be honest, because I really think it probably depends on the person. And I've seen different Twitter threads where men have talked about this or women have talked about this or whatever. Like, this seems to be an ongoing conversation, and you kind of see both sides of it. Like, I've seen where some dudes have said, oh, well, I'm okay with a woman pursuing me as long as she's not too aggressive. But what does that even mean? Or I've read articles where, articles written to women. I don't remember if it was written by a man or a woman, and I can't think of any of those articles, so I can't put them in the episode notes so you can read for yourself. But I've read plenty of articles on social media that have said, like, men go after what they want, so if he's not pursuing you, it's because he's not interested. But then you hear, like, it's just such a interesting topic that, to be honest, I don't know that there's a right or a wrong answer to it. I just think it depends on the person. And I think it's going to be a conversation that is going to continue to happen, and people are always going to have different viewpoints on it. And then, like I said, this was a selfish episode where I was trying to get y'all feedback to try to make a decision or whatever on what I should do, because I don't really know what I'm going to do or whatever. But you're probably wondering if, like, y'all's advice pushed me to say something. And as of the time of me recording this, which today is April 5th, as I said, it's my younger brother's birthday. So let me say happy birthday one more time. I already texted him earlier, but let's just go ahead and put this up there on the podcast so it's there forever. But as of today, no, I have not said anything. And will I say anything? I don't know. But this is what I will tell y'all, since I done brought this up and y'all ride my little train of thought or whatever. I'll take y'all on this journey with me. I ain't gonna tell you who it is, but if I say something or if anything pops off with it, you'll probably hear about it, because then the show will become, oh my gosh, it won't be, oh, I'm single anymore. It'll be, how the heck am I navigating actually being in a relationship? So, I don't know. But if you want to find out, you got to hop on my train of thought again to see how things progress. So first things first, shout out to Sniper T for this beat, and all his information can be found in the episode notes. Now, like I say on social media, I want y'all to interact with me, so here's a few ways you can do that, and the links and whatnot to all these methods are in the episode notes as well. Now, you can leave me a voicemail. Call 720-457-4022. You can email me. Hey, y'all can follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and I'll follow you back. And then you can go ahead and slide in the DMs, just not on no weird stuff. You can also like the Facebook page, and the link on there goes to my email as well. Now, what I need y'all to do is pay attention on my socials for when I ask for feedback for the Thoughts to Ponder episodes that air every other Monday, because the reality is that y'all feedback is what makes those episodes dope. So, leave me a voicemail, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or email me. Just holla at your girl.